Alright, so we are identifying some transformations, and so just to remind you, what we're looking for is if there's a negative in front, it's a reflection. If there's a number in front of the main part of the function, then that might be a vertical stretch or vertical compression. If there's any kind of like addition or subtraction happening next to the x number, the x variable, then that'll go left or right, and if there's a number hanging out at the right hand side, just a plus or a minus number, then that's up and down. So basically you're just going through these functions. They're all different types, but you can tell that you've got basically the a number hanging out right there. This one does not have an h number, but it does have a k number, so we just have to explain those two things. So the negative in front means it's a reflection over the x-axis. And the k number, the a number also is a 2, which is bigger than 1, so I'd also say it's a vertical stretch, which means it's taller than normal, and the k is a 3, so that means it goes up 3. So reflection over the x-axis, vertical stretch, and up 3. Alright. Number 2, there's a 1/2 in front. That's going to be a vertical compression. That's your a number right there. And this is an h number inside the absolute value bars, so it's grouped up with the x, and that means that it's going to go to the left 4. Remember that as far as left and right goes, plus means left, minus means right. Number 3, we have a negative hanging out in front of that thing. That's basically the a number. Now there's really no number there, really, just a negative, so that's just a reflection over the x-axis. And then we have the h number hanging out right there. That's that -2 part. So that's going to make it go to the right 2. And then we have a +5, which is the k number, and that's going to make it go up 5. That's the end of those. Alright, now we need to do some simplifying with exponents. And there's a variety of things going on with these problems. The first thing on number 1 is I noticed that I've got some x's inside the parentheses. So they're both x's as the base, so you can actually add those exponents. So that would give me x to the -5 power. And then there's that 4 hanging out on the outside. Now, whenever we call that a power to a power, where you've got something like the little exponent hanging out on the outside of the parentheses. And so you multiply those exponents, and I would get x to the -20, which is a decent answer, but we've learned that negative exponents are not supposed to be kept that way, so we'd put that as 1 over x to the +20th power. That's just the way that goes. Number 2, so we have a couple things going on here. First of all, I'm going to need to multiply these exponents. So little 4 times -3 is going to give me an x to the -12th power, and then that's all still multiplying the 2x to the 4th. Now that it's just all multiplying, I add exponents on the x's, so -12 plus 4 is -8, and then that 2 is just sort of hanging out in front of it. So that's a decent final answer, 2 times x to the -8, but we don't like negative exponents, so I move it to the denominator and make it positive. So the best answer would be 2 over x to the 8th power. Number 3 is very, very similar. In fact, I'd say almost identical to question 2. We got to do this little multiplying bit right there. So that's n to the 9th power times 2 to the n-1 power. And now we add exponents. So 9 and -1 add together to be an 8. And then that 2 is again just sitting out in front, and it's done. So 2n to the 8th power, done. Number 4, a little bit trickier here because of this 2v squared. Maybe one way to think about that one would be to understand that that really means 2v times 2v, and then there's still the rest of that 2v squared hanging out back there. So with that in mind, you can see 2 times 2 times 2, the big whole numbers, that makes 8. And then now that it's just a long string of letters, you can add those exponents, and those v's all have little imaginary 1s, and then there's the 2, so 1, 1, and 2 makes 4, and that's the final answer. There are different ways to sort of do those problems and as far as the order goes, but that's what all your answers should look like. Alright, this last question here. Really, the reason we're giving you this problem is we just really want to make sure that you understand that A and B are not the answers. It's so tempting for you guys to look at these numbers and go, oh, 3 squared, that's 9, and 5 squared, that's 25, done. And you'll either choose A or B depending on whether you notice the negative or not. It's just that that's not the way that that works. This problem means 3x minus 5 times itself. If we can get you guys to do that, then you're like, oh yeah, then it's just, double distribution or foiling, whatever you want to call it. It's that whole deal. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. There's another one of those. And negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. So, final answer, 9x squared minus 30x plus 25, and that is clearly C. And we're done.